The first half of this video will be for the general election applying to all Californians here in 2024. The second half will be to the county of San Bernardino and the candidates that are running locally to the San Bernardino county offices. Prop 2 authorizes bonds for public school and community college facilities. It authorizes $10 billion in general obligation bonds for repair, upgrade, and construction of facilities at K through 12 public schools, including charter. The fiscal impact will increase state costs of about $500 million annually for 35 years to repay the bond. Basically, it will increase our bond obligations by $10 billion, which will cost us taxpayers an estimated $18 billion when repaid with interest. A bond is not the same as a tax. It's more like credit, and credit comes with interest. So the government is going to spend money that we don't have on basically a government credit card, and they're going to tax us the interest, which is why it is $10 billion that they're going to spend, but $18 billion when we as the taxpayers have to pay it back. And this is going to be a 35-year plan. So over 35 years, we as Californians, if you're a citizen and you pay taxes, it's going to increase your taxes because we have to pay $18 billion back. So I'm voting no. Proposition 3, immediately no. Constitutional right to marriage. This amends the California Constitution to recognize fundamental right to marry, regardless of sex or race. Same-sex is already legal in California, so this proposition is actually removing rules for all marriage, opening the possibility for child marriages, incest, and polygamy. So I'm voting no. Proposition 4, voting no, authorizes $10 billion in general obligation bonds for water, wildfire prevention, and protection for communities and lands. Here again, this is another government credit card spending scheme where they're going to spend $10 billion of money we don't have and then tax us later for it, when this is something that should just be budgeted for and not loaned out. So no, I'm voting no on Prop 4. Prop 5 allows local bonds for affordable housing and public infrastructure with 55% approval, 55% voter approval. I'm voting no on this because it changes the Constitution to make it easier to increase the bond debt, leading to higher property taxes. And if you don't own property, you think this doesn't affect you, but it does, because if you rent, then the owners of the property are going to have to pay more taxes, which means they're going to increase your rent to pay for that tax that was increased on them. People think, oh, if they're going to tax the landlords more, then it's like the landlords are paying their fair share. But people don't think that landlords are just regular people too. A lot of people think landlords are some monopoly looking guy living in a castle somewhere. But it's a lot of just regular people who are struggling just to buy homes now. And so now, even if you do buy a home, which is very difficult to do in California, for you to buy a home and them just increase your property taxes because other people rent out, it's just crazy. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I'm voting no. Prop 6 is a difficult one to pin down. I'm not going to tell you guys whether or not to vote on this one because the information is very unclear as to what you would be voting yes or no on. Yes means it's basically to eliminate involuntary servitude for prisoners, which in one hand is a good idea. You don't want people working like modern day slaves. But on the other hand, it doesn't show what other things could be hidden in this proposition that have nothing to do with involuntary servitude. So this one, you guys use your own judgment. I don't have a yes or no on this one. Proposition 32, no. This is a proposition to raise the minimum wage again, which every time they raise the minimum wage, it increases the cost of living, eliminates jobs. We've already lost so many jobs in California because business owners can't afford to continue to raise the minimum wage, because not every business is Walmart or Amazon, or there's a lot of mom and pop shops that have just been destroyed because they can't compete with these corporations. So when you raise the minimum wage, you're really just getting rid of these small businesses and you're keeping around these corporations that can afford to lose employees. People in California claim to be so left-leaning and all about anti-corporation, and yet they vote for propositions like this, which only affect the small businesses. It's crazy. When you raise minimum wage, that means you have to then raise the price of your goods or services in order to pay the new minimum wage, which then eliminates jobs because not everyone can afford to just pay higher. When minimum wage is minimum for a reason. It's not, a minimum wage job is not supposed to be your last and final job. You're supposed to work your way up, gain new skills, advance in your career, or move on to new opportunities. But that can't happen if we're destroying our own economy by trying to make everything more expensive. Prop 32, to raise minimum wage, will also raise the cost of everything else in your life. Your food, your gas, your products. Everything goes up when minimum wage goes up. Proposition 33 expands local government's authority to enact rent control on residential property. No. Vote no on 33. All rent control does is eliminate independent citizens from owning more property, and the government will end up owning that property, and then they will control the rent. So they'll tell other people, this is how much you can charge. And then eventually when people can't afford to keep their property because they have to keep their rent so low, this also has to go with the whole minimum wage situation. If they can control the wages and then they can control the rent, but the businesses and the property owners cannot afford to pay these new prices, then the government will end up owning all of these different properties and services, and then they will control the pricing. And when they control the pricing, they don't care if you can afford it or not, because now the government owns it. So vote no on Prop 33, no on 34. It restricts spending of prescription drug revenues by certain healthcare providers. It says it'll increase state costs, which means that it'll increase taxes, which means that you're going to pay for these new prescription drug revenues. Prop 35 is another medical proposition. Provides permanent funding for medical health care services. I'm voting no on this one. The pro argument on this one says it addresses our urgent healthcare crisis by securing dedicated funding without raising taxes. But it doesn't explain how it's going to do that without raising taxes. If it's a proposition that says it's going to provide permanent funding for something, that means they're going to permanently tax you for that thing. And it's a service that even if you agree to pay for the taxes for this medical coverage, they give you like the lowest form of healthcare. It's like the shittiest version of health. It's like McDonald's healthcare. That's what you're paying for. Prop 35 is McDonald's healthcare plan. So if you vote yes, you're basically voting to agree to pay more taxes to get the McDonald's version plan of healthcare provided by the government, because that's what the government is like the McDonald's version of everything. Vote yes on Prop 36. This allows felony charges and increases sentences for certain drug and theft-related crimes. As you know, California has been rampant with shoplifting crimes, theft crimes. People are just going into people's businesses and stealing money, stealing whatever they can. And as long as it's under $950, they can't be charged with a felony. Now it's just a misdemeanor. They just let you go. You know, for the past couple of years, people have just been getting away with stealing from small businesses and corporations. You know, if it's like Walmart, I don't care. It's Walmart. You know, you're like a giant corporation. But if you're a small business, if you're just like a local market, you know, it's unfair for these people who are barely getting by. It's not like when you're an independent business owner, you're not living lavishly. Okay, the independent business owners struggle as much as the employee. When you're an independent business owner, when you're a small business owner, your main concern is, can I keep this business going, and can I keep jobs for my employees? When you're a corporation, that's not the biggest concern. You can afford to lose a location. When you're an independent business owner, you only have one location. If you're lucky, you might have a small chain. If you can franchise out, if you're like In-N-Out is a family-owned business, but they're no longer a small independent business. They are a big independent business. And we've even lost In-N-Out. We've lost locations of In-N-Out in the state due to the crime, especially like in San Francisco and stuff, or Oakland. Not San Francisco, but Oakland. All right, let's move on to the candidates. We have our presidential candidates, which we're in California, so I know most of this, there's no avoiding this. It's going to be blue. There's a bunch of idiots in LA and San Francisco that are going to vote for a specific person who talks in circles. So I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. We already know how that's going to turn out. For Senator, I'm going Steve Garvey. Steve Garvey's concerns are the border security, school choice, expanding access to trades and apprenticeships, eliminating government programs that do nothing but cost us in taxes. Moving on to the San Bernardino section, this is only applicable to the people of San Bernardino. For representative of District 33, I'm going Tom Herman. So Tom Herman, a few of his goals that got me on board with him is term limits. He wants to implement term limits so there's no career politicians who just stay in office forever and do nothing but make money off of our taxes. He's also a supporter of parents' rights and free speech. So those are the top 3 reasons that got me to vote for Tom Herman. State Senator, District 29, I'm voting Carlos A. Garcia, who wants to increase support for police and fire departments. The member of State Assembly, District 45, I'm voting for Scott P. Olson. It was difficult to find information on him, but James C. Ramos is a career politician, and his interests are not aligned with mine. The member governing board, Area 3, San Bernardino College Community District, John Longville is a career politician, so I would be very hesitant to vote for this guy. And Anthony Jones, it was very difficult to find information on him other than the bullet points in the voter information guide, which doesn't give you much clarity. It's just kind of bullet points. The school offices, member governing board of San Bernardino Unified School District, all of these people are pretty terrible. The only person who seems to be the least concerning is Scott Wyatt, and there's no info on Michael L. Santos. So this is a multiple choice vote. You can vote for at least 4 people. If I had to vote, I would go Scott Wyatt or Michael L. Santos or Lada M. Wilson. Those 3 don't seem to be concerned, or at least it appears their priority isn't equity, which is just a different form of discrimination. So the first 3 that are listed, Felicia C. Alexander, Miki, I don't know how to say her last name, it's Chichoki or Kichoki, I don't know how to say it, and Myra Ceballos, those 3 are definitely more concerning with their political beliefs and if they want to implement those in schools, which it seems that one of them is already involved in the school district. Yeah, I think it could only get worse if you just vote for those 3. The San Bernardino County offices, the assessor, recorder, all these people are just interested in increasing your taxes. So I wouldn't even vote for any of these people. Blanca Azucena Gomez, Josie Gonzalez, Donald E. Williamson, Dara Smith. These people are all like property tax auditors. So it seems like their primary goal would just be to figure out ways to increase your property taxes. There wasn't a lot of info on them either. So like I said, you could just skip. You don't have to vote for any of these people. You could just leave it blank. Or you could put a write-in, just write in your own name. Anyways, that concludes the general election information guide. If you're voting, I hope this helps.